Welcome back to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We're getting right into our fifth segment of the night, previewing Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. For this Stanley Cup Finals, we're going to take a look at the lines here. The Edmonton Oilers look like they're going to go with their same lines that, of course, they're going to go with the same lines that worked with that Game 4. They're going to keep Evander Kane out. I think he just might be a healthy scratch for this game, as he was day-to-day, and he could have played, he potentially could have played in that Game 4, but they held him out, and they scored 8 goals. So it's not because he didn't play. Evander Kane is, of course, a very talented forward. But for the Edmonton Oilers, they're just going to stick with what worked. And what worked was that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins switching down to the second line. He is now with Leon Draisaitl and Dylan Holloway. They're also going to keep Ryan McLeod on that fourth line, who was getting third or second line minutes in that Game 3. It did not work for them. So they're going to keep Ryan McLeod, Derek Ryan, and Corey Perry on that fourth line together, which has been a pretty good fourth line for them. Adam Henrique, Matthias Janmark, and Connor Brown will be that third line. And then for their defensive pairs, you have Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard. Of course, that's been their top pair all throughout this postseason and pretty much all season long. Very impressive play from those two guys. So they're just going to stick with that. And Darnell Nurse, Philip Broberg is going to be that second defensive pair that you see. Brett Kulak and Cody Ceci on that third defensive pair are what they were doing in morning skate or morning practice this morning. For the Edmonton Oilers, it is a very solid team, and it definitely did work. But going over to the Florida Panthers side, they are going to put Evan Rodriguez up to that first line. They are switching Carter Verhaeghe and Evan Rodriguez. They are also... Are they doing anything else different? I think Ryan Lomberg going in... Yes, Ryan Lomberg is going to make his series debut here on that fourth line for the Florida Panthers. But really, they're going to keep the lines pretty much the same, as Evan Rodriguez has had a fantastic postseason run, and even more specifically Stanley Cup Finals. He is now getting that first line minutes with Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart. I'm interested to know for Evan Rodriguez and Carter Verhaeghe, that switch, what that's going to do for the defensive style of that first line. Of course, that's been kind of their strong suit throughout this postseason and throughout the Stanley Cup Finals and their 3 games that they won in the Stanley Cup Finals. Having Evan Rodriguez on that second line and having Carter Verhaeghe on that first line, we'll see what that switch will do for them. But they're going the same, really, with that third line that's been working. Eetu Luostarinen, Anton Lundell, and Vladimir Tarasenko is going to be that third line that's kind of been there this entire postseason run. It's been very impressive. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then as for their defensive pairs, they are not going to switch up their D at all. It's Gustav Forsling, Aaron Ekblad, Nico Mikola, Brandon Montour, and OEL and Dmitry Kulikov on their defensive blue line here for the Florida Panthers. So they're gonna. That kind of tells me that they're gonna play at that same intensity, and they're gonna just stick to their scheme here. It's worked. There's no reason to go against it. It makes sense. They definitely can get results by doing that. But you could also make the argument that the Edmonton Oilers kind of figured it out and could potentially exploit that. They're also likely to go with Sergei Bobrovsky in net over Anthony Solers, who did take over for Sergei Bobrovsky after he let up his 5th goal of the night on Saturday. But I think that is the right choice. Sticking with your hot goaltender, who is the Conn Smythe favorite at this point, is going to be crucial for this Florida Panthers team. This Game 5 is crucial for both teams. The Florida Panthers, I think, might need to win this game more than the Edmonton Oilers need to win this game. Of course, the Edmonton Oilers, if they don't win this game, they don't win the Stanley Cup Final. But I think you might be able to make an argument that if the Florida Panthers don't win this game, they might not win the Stanley Cup Finals because of it. I would be very worried going back to Alberta for a Game 6. Rogers Place has proven to be one of the most difficult environment in all of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then you're tacking on top of that, they just won 2 games in a row. They're a really streaky team. They win a lot of games in a row following 3 losses. They've won 5, 8, and 16 throughout the regular season, as we already talked about. For the Florida Panthers, I would be looking at this as a must-win game. Truly, I would. Granted, anything can happen in this in a game 6 or especially in a game 7. But for the Edmonton Oilers, I think that they have less pressure on them. I think that they're just able to go out there and kind of play with the same mentality that they played in a game 4. And I think that they could get a job done by doing so. So looking at the game lines, it is the Florida Panthers that are the favorite in this game. That makes sense. Nothing really goes to prove that that should be the other way. The Edmonton Oilers have been not great away from home in these playoffs, and the Florida Panthers have been a fantastic home team. They won 2 games in Sunrise, Florida, Game 1 and Game 2 in this series. So they're favored -135 to the Edmonton Oilers +114. I think that's implied odds of 57-43 for the Florida Panthers to win this game. I am going to predict... See, here's the thing. I predicted the Florida Panthers in 6. So it would make sense for me to go with the Edmonton Oilers. And I talk so much about the Edmonton Oilers throughout this entire show. And I talk so much, building up the Edmonton Oilers as saying that as they can, get a win here, get a result here, and it could be very impressive. I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers. I just think that the Florida Panthers end it here. I think that they are the better team. When I previewed the series, I said that they were the better team. I said Florida in 6. I said on a different show from the GSMC Sports Network, I said Florida in 5. So if the Florida Panthers went here, then that would be correct on that show, and I would take that. I think I'm going to go with the Panthers here. I really do believe that they finish it off here. I think that they're the better team, and I think that they took that absolute sucker punch to the throat as a wake-up call. The Oilers aren't going to lie down, but that just means that the Panthers have to play that aggressive, high-intensity style that has won them so many games in these postseason, and they're going to get this done. I think I'm going to go 2-1. Florida Panthers take this game 5 here. I think that Sergei Bobrovsky steals this one, but the defense from the Edmonton Oilers really keep them in this game, and I think that the Edmonton Oilers will have chances late in this game to tie it up, take it into overtime if they are able to convert on it. But I think that Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be able to shut the door enough on this Edmonton Oilers team to win this Florida Panthers the Stanley Cup, win Sergei Bobrovsky his first ever cup, the Florida Panthers their first ever cup. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this game 5. I think it will be very telling for the rest of this series. But that'll wrap it up for this Monday edition of the GSMC Hockey Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Thank you all for your support. If you enjoyed the podcast, you can leave a like and and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review on whatever you are listening to the podcast on, if you would like to. You could also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at the GSMC Sports Network. All the support means so much for us, and thank you all again for tuning in to the GSMC Hockey Podcast. All of you guys have a fantastic evening.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of